Turn on. Sorry, I'm gonna wait 2 seconds. You can turn. You can turn on the live captioning by clicking on the 3 dots on the bottom or the top of your screen. And I just wanted to let you know as well that after all the presentations, we will have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write them down in the chat box, and we will ask them later to the participants. So let me introduce myself. I'm Helen. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Officer at Inclusion Europe. And I'm here with most of the team and Barbara, who's been handling the technical aspects of this online event. The My Talents for Diversity is a project that's been done in partnership between the Antwerp Management School in Belgium, Plena Inclusion in Spain, and FBIT in Estonia. It's funded by the European Union's Rights, Equality and Citizenship Programme, and the aim is to increase participation of people with intellectual disabilities in the open labour market. The project started in 2019, and we already produced some material on diversity management, such as guidelines for employers, videos about job coaching, reasonable accommodation, customized employment, and others. You can find all those documents on Inclusion Europe's website, and it will also be posted in the chat. As for this series of events we are hosting, you can also find them on Inclusion Europe's website and YouTube channel. Today, the webinar is on jobs for people with intellectual disabilities in the open labour markets. And I'm happy to welcome many speakers that I will present in due course because we are so many, so I don't want to take too much time. The other aspect I forgot to mention is that there is some translation in those webinars, in this webinar, so perhaps I've been speaking a bit too fast. For the people translating, don't hesitate to raise your hand and tell us if it is going too fast. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Laszlo. He's Inclusion Europe's Vice President and Chair of the European Platform of Self-Advocate Steering Group, and Tiber. They are going to speak about their Laszlo is going to speak about his experience of employment of people with intellectual disabilities in the open labour markets. So, Laszlo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Kedves résztvevők, Berse László vagyok Magyarországról. Én vagyok az EPSA elnöke, ami az Európai Önérvényesítők Szervezete, egyben pedig az Inclusion Europe alelnöke is vagyok.
Dear participants, I am Laszlo Bercher from Hungary. I am the chairperson of EPSA, which is the European Platform of Self-Advocates. I am also the vice president of Inclusion Europe. And this is me. Hi, everyone. My name is Tibor Czako. I am the colleague of Laszlo. Today, I'm here to support Laszlo during his speech and translate for him. Please let me know if you don't understand me. It might be difficult with the masks on.
Köszöntelek titeket a mai beszélgetésen. Örülök, hogy legalább így online találkozhatunk egymással.
Let me welcome you at today's discussion. I am glad that at least this way we can all meet each other.
Arról szeretnék nektek beszélni, hogy miért fontos a foglalkoztatás az önérvényesítők számára, és hogy milyen hatással van a koronavírus járvány az értelmi fogyatékossággal élő emberek foglalkoztatására.
I would like to tell you about why employment is important for self-advocates and how the COVID-19 pandemic affects the employment of persons with intellectual disability.
Biztosítanunk kell, hogy az értelmi fogyatékossággal élő emberek is tudjanak dolgozni. Ha van munkánk és fizetésünk, akkor tudunk anyagilag függetlenek lenni, és önállóan élni.
We need to ensure that people with intellectual disability can work. If we have a job and a salary, we can be financially independent and live independently.
A munka szükséges a társadalmi befogadáshoz is. De az is fontos, hogy az embereket ne csak a munkaképességük alapján értékeljük. Azok az emberek is értékesek, akik nem tudnak dolgozni.
Employment is also necessary for inclusion, but it is also important that we don't just value people according to their work ability. People who are not able to work are valuable as well.
Ahhoz, hogy munkát találjunk, hozzá kell férnünk a szakképzéshez. Azért, hogy igazi munkát tudjunk találni, a nyílt munkaerőpiacon, nem pedig védett munkahelyen.
In order to find a job, we need to access vocational training, to find real work in the labor market instead of sheltered workshops.
Ehhez viszont az kell, hogy a munkáltatók és a kollégák felkészültek és nyitottak legyenek. Kell és alkalmazkodjanak a képességeinkhez.
For this, employers and colleagues need to be prepared and open. They need to know us and adapt to our skills.
A munkánkért fizetést akarunk kapni, ugyanúgy, mint bárki más. Nem zseppénzt, hanem valódi fizetést, valódi munkáért.
We want payment for our work, just like anyone else. Not pocket money, but a real salary for real work.
A koronavírus természetesen a mi életünkre és foglalkoztatásunkra is hatással van.
Of course, the COVID-19 impacts our life and employment.
Az EBSA tavasszal készített egy kérdőívet. Arról kérdeztük a tagjainkat, hogy milyen hatással van az életükre a koronavírus járvány. A válaszokban sokan említették a foglalkoztatás témáját.
In spring, EBSA did a questionnaire. We asked our members how the pandemic affects their lives. Many self-advocates mention employment in their answers.
A válaszok alapján az önérvényesítők félnek, hogy elveszítik a munkájukat a járvány miatt. Ez sokakkal már meg is történt.
According to these answers, self-advocates worry that they are going to lose their jobs because of the pandemic, and many already have.
Azt tapasztaljuk, hogy az értelmi fogyatékossággal élő emberek esnek ki először a munkaerőpiacról, amikor bekövetkezik egy pénzügyi és társadalmi válság.
Our experience is that people with intellectual disability are the first to pushed outside of the labor market when a financial and social crisis happens.
Azt akarjuk elérni, hogy a kormányok vegyenek minket figyelembe, amikor a munkanélküli személyek támogatását tervezik.
We want to achieve that governments consider us when planning support measures for unemployed persons.
Ugyanúgy vegyenek minket figyelembe akkor is, amikor a koronavírus elleni védekezésről vagy a jelenlegi válság utáni helyreállításról van szó. Ne feledkezzenek meg rólunk.
Also consider us when planning the protecting measures against COVID-19 and the recovery after the crisis. We cannot be left behind.
Az önérvényesülőknek is van véleménye. Azt akarjuk, hogy hallgassanak meg minket. Köszönöm a figyelmet.
Self-advocates have a voice. We want to be heard. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Laszlo, very much for your very interesting insights. And thank you, Tibor, for the translation. I guess we'll have questions after. So I will now pass the floor to our next group of speakers. So now I would like to welcome our partners from this project who also conducted the research, which you can also find on the website. I think Barbara shared the links. So we are welcoming Sarah Stigme. She's the Human Resource Director at the Antwerp Management School. Thibaut Bastien, he's the Junior Researcher at Antwerp Management School, and Anouk van Hofstad, Senior Researcher. They will tell us more about their different perspectives on inclusive employment opportunities from human resources to research, as they are all working together as at AMS. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Helen. I would like to invite Sarah en Thibaut. Thibaut, zetten jullie camera even aan en microfoon ook aan, dat we je kunnen zien. So for all attendees and Helen and Inclusion Europe, thank you for having us. It's really an honor to be able to speak to you and present our case, because we have like two hats here. One, of course, with the research team, mainly Thibaut and I, for this project. But of course, we are also an employer of a person with intellectual disabilities, being Thibaut, who was hired by us as a junior researcher. So Thibaut was my direct colleague, and I thought it would be interesting today to hear from our HR manager how the hiring process went. Sarah, aan jou.
Thank you for the introduction, Anouk, and happy to share with you our best practice as being a business school providing education programs in a business-to-customer setting, but also in a business-to-business setting. We are doing our own research and valorization, and this is how we became also a best practice within the topic of the employment of people with an intellectual disability. And Anouk,
I'll share the
slides. Yes.
Exactly.
Well,
there we go. That's us.
Well, I can't see the slides yet, Anouk.
No?
No.
Not yet.
Oh, that's
perhaps we need 2 seconds for it to come up.
Weird. Okay, let's try again. Should be okay now. You should be seeing it.
It's charging. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now
well, okay. We already introduced ourselves, and as you all may know, Belgium is a small and beautiful country in the middle of Europe. But the structure of our country is very complex. We have 3 national languages. We have a Dutch and a French and a German-speaking community. And we have even more governments. We have 6 in Belgium. So I won't bother you with giving you an insight in the complex structure of the country, but this is already an indicator of the complexity of regulations that we are working in. We have a very strong social security system in Belgium, which we are very proud of. But you can imagine how this complexity can also be a threshold in the employment of a person with a disability. The social security system in our country is organized from a patronizing point of view towards people with a disability. So it's not really designed to make the combination with getting social benefits of the government and combining this with an official employment. This is a bit like a jungle, I can say. So for AMS as an employer, we had to do some research to find our way in starting an official payroll contract for Thibaut. And still, it was a leap in the unknown. Thibaut and his parents took a risk in losing their social benefits by becoming an employee for the school. But via the system of the Flemish government, we received grants to finance half of the employment of Thibaut. So it's worthwhile to check even in your country if there are financial and social systems to support the start of the employment of a person with a disability. So that's to give you an introduction and the complexity of hiring in Belgium. And then we finally started with offering Thibaut the contract. It goes without saying that we offer Thibaut a full AMS contract, meaning an equal pay as in comparison with the in his case, the other junior researchers, together with all the extra legal benefits that all our AMS junior researchers receive. In the contracting, we involved also Thibaut's parents to negotiate and explain also to Thibaut the content of the contract. And it is recommended that we are also considering to rewrite the contract in understandable language in the future, because this would be even more supportive for the person with the intellectual disability himself to fully understand the content of the contract. And now I would like to ask some questions to Thibaut so that he can also give his insight and his experience at Antwerp Management School. I will ask the questions in Dutch and Anouk will help us with the translation. Thibaut, zoals we afgesproken hebben, ga ik nu eventjes ook bij jou terechtkomen om jouw ervaring een keer te bevragen. Dit was jouw eerste betaalde job. Hoe was dat voor jou?
Ja, toch wel speciaal om in een betaalde job. Ik heb altijd als vrijwilliger gewerkt. En dat was toch wel een eer om daar als iemand met een persoon met een verstandelijke beperking rond te lopen. Ik had wel wat schrik voor mijn uitkering te verliezen, maar we hebben met het team dan besproken dat ik maar 2,5 dagen per week zou kunnen werken.
Oké. Thibaut, we gaan misschien eventjes wachten tot Anouk eventjes kan
Ja.
vertalen, want anders gaat het te veel worden voor haar. Anouk, we can't hear you. Anouk, are you still there?
Anouk, I think you are muted.
Okay, I will help maybe. Dus Thibaut was telling us that this was his first paid employment and that it was he was excited to start. He first had experience as a volunteer, but he really felt welcome in this new setting. Anouk, we can't see the presentation anymore either. I think we've lost Anouk.
I think perhaps there's some problem to unmute and share the presentation at the same time. I don't know. The presentation is back on. Can you see it?
Okay. Yes, I can see it. Okay. Thibaut, jij had nog nooit voor een universiteit gewerkt en je wist niet echt goed waar je aan begon. Was je ongerust of bang voordat je eraan begon?
Eigenlijk niet. Ik had al een paar verhalen gehoord van een persoon die daar ook een verstandelijke beperking heeft. En die is ook atleet bij Special Olympics Belgium. En wij hebben die tegengekomen en zij heeft eigenlijk tegen mij gezegd, zij heeft ook voor de school al gewerkt. En zij heeft eigenlijk tegen mij gezegd om te vergelijken als een wereldspelen. Er is een beetje stress. Er zijn dagen dat je er eigenlijk moet van genieten. Het is toch wel speciaal om met een persoon zoals Ikea daar al rond te lopen.
Okay, so the question was, Thibaut, was it scary to start to work for a university? You didn't know what to expect when you had to work for the university. And Thibaut said that he wasn't afraid, he was confident. He met someone in his training environment of the Special Olympics who make sure that he hadn't had to be afraid to start at the university, and he could compare it with his training and sport exercises, and he could have the confidence to start in this new opportunity at Antwerp Management School. Okay, then next, what I would like to share with you is how we made adaptations at the workplace to start with Thibaut. Thanks to the previous research projects, we already had experience in working with colleagues with a disability. Our main learning was to give extra support for the integration in the workplace. and I would like to share with you 4 tips to ensure a good integration in your work environment. First of all, we informed all team members before we started the employment of Thibaut. We received many positive reactions of the entire AMS community. And this is also how Thibaut got an entire community to support for him during the Sailing World Championships. Secondly, in his daily work, he was collaborating with a senior researcher. That was Anouk. Anouk will hopefully, when she gets unmuted, share with you her experience. The focus of her was to give him guidance in the content of this job. She was already experienced also in working together with a person with an intellectual disability. Thirdly, we installed a buddy system to create a warm and personal integration approach. For Thibaut, we had even chosen 2 buddies. This gave some flexibility in the availability of the buddies, and we have chosen for a man and a woman, also younger persons in the organization, so that they could easily associate with Thibaut. The role or the main roles of the buddies was to check in with him every day, make sure that Thibaut could find his way in the office, and integrating him in our One AMS community. They also helped him sometimes with language issues, as we are working in an international setting, or they gave some support with some IT tools like working with Excel or PowerPoint. And then nice to know for you is that based on this positive buddy experience, thanks to Thibaut, we have decided to apply this also for the onboarding for each new AMS colleague. And fourthly, it's important to show flexibility, and as well Thibaut as AMS showed flexibility. For example, during the report writing, we had a short period that Thibaut couldn't work on the project, and we found a creative opportunity to use Thibaut's skills to support our IT and facility team. And we noticed that this was for both parties a very enriching experience to have. So my next question is for Thibaut, to ask him how he experienced the buddy system at AMS. Dus Thibaut, ik heb een vraag voor jou. Hoe heb jij het buddy systeem op AMS ervaren?
Dat was toch wel belangrijk dat ik toch 2 buddies had. Ook omdat soms mijn directe collega er nooit bekend kon bij zijn. En dan hadden ze vanuit AMS 2 personen gevraagd om mijn buddies te zijn. En die stonden eigenlijk in voor mij te helpen aan een deel voor Excel, voor mijn timesheets in te vullen. Of de ander die de vertalingen van de projectmeetings die daar in Tennos waren, te vertalen eigenlijk.
Okay. So Thibaut said that the buddies were very important to him when he had Anouk wasn't at the office to support him in the content of the job. He had the 2 buddies where we go to and ask them questions, for example, in working with Excel or other IT tools. He felt very supported. My next question for Thibaut is how he felt working in the entire AMS team and community, if he felt welcome within the organization. Dus Thibaut, mijn volgende vraag voor jou is van hoe voelde je je welkom in AMS en de organisatie als een geheel?
Ja, sowieso. Ik was open armen ontvangen door het hele team van AMS. Het was toch wel speciaal om als een persoon met een verstandelijke beperking daar rond te lopen tussen de profs en de studenten en het vaste team eigenlijk. En dat was toch wel speciaal.
Okay. Thibaut said that he felt very warm welcome at AMS. He was proud to be able to walk around as a person with an intellectual disability in a community of professors and students. Really felt accepted by everyone, and it was a warm experience for him. Then Anouk was also sharing some of her experience as working as a senior researcher together with Thibaut. So Anouk, I don't know if you already could fix the audio system of your computer.
Well, I'll cross fingers. If you hear me now,
we can hear you.
It took, yeah, I don't know what happened. I had to leave the meeting and come back, but if you hear me now, it's okay. We don't have much more time left, but I'll try to be quick. And so what we actually did, Thibaut and I, was a three-way, a mixed methodology to do this research. So we had a desk research review of literature we did. We had an online survey because it was an European project. We had a multilingual online survey, 9 languages. We had 204 respondents coming from over 16 countries. Thibaut and I searched for the questions and what we are going to ask. And then after that, we had in-depth interviews with a number of people, companies, organizations who are already employing inclusively. So they are already working with people with intellectual disability. So I'm going to ask Thibaut what he exactly did. He will explain you. Thibaut, kan je eens uitleggen wat jij juist gedaan hebt voor het project, dus wat je gedaan hebt voor de interviews?
Ik heb juist... wij mochten interviews gaan afnemen bij de werknemers en we moesten zelf de vragen nadenken. Ik had ook vragen voor mensen met een verstandelijke beperking en voor de CEO's. En Anouk heeft ook vragen gesteld voor de werknemer en de CEO. En dan hebben we die eigenlijk samengelegd en dan hebben we gekozen welke vragen dat goed waren en welke niet.
Okay, Thibaut, ik ga even vertalen. So Thibaut explained that the both of us had to interview both employers and employees with intellectual disabilities for each case. We found questions he did and I did. We put them together. We compared them and then went down to have 2 lists of questions, one for the employer, one for the employee. And then we went together to do these interviews, to ask these questions, and we both did it equally. Okay, Thibaut, en wat gebeurde daarna met die interviews?
Die werden dan geanalyseerd. We moesten die dan beluisteren en dan gingen we dat via een Skype-meeting gingen we die dan bespreken, analyseren en dat vond ik toch wel moeilijk.
Okay, so what we did afterwards, when we collected the data of the online survey, as well as the data we got from the in-depth interviews, we of course had to analyze them, which was because Thibaut is having problems reading and writing. So we did this orally mainly, and when Corona got to us, we had to do it by video meeting, but that went all right because Thibaut is very savvy with computers. He's a child of his generation. He's only 24, so he gets around with computers, and with his Apple Watch, he talks to it to send me messages. So that is not a problem, but he found it difficult in the beginning to analyze the results, to analyze what people said in their interviews. But then we discussed it, and he got a way of looking at things from further away, a bit more theoretical, I would say, and then it went all right. Okay, Thibaut, wat vond je het fijnst aan het hele proces nu?
Het fijnste vond ik de interviews gaan afnemen als atleet van Special Olympics Belgium. Ik normaal aan de kant van de interviewer. En nu mocht ik iets als de andere kant van de tafel zitten en dat vond ik wel plezant.
Yeah, so Thibaut is saying he's mostly enjoyed the interviews in itself because normally as a champion, as a sailing champion, it's him who gets to be interviewed, and now he was sitting at the other end of the table and he could ask the questions, so he liked that very much. What shall I say? We really could do this on an equal basis. I didn't feel any difference, and when that's quite important. When there were parts of the study or from the research that he couldn't be part of, when, for instance, I was writing reports, then with Sarah, with the HR department, with his buddies, we found other tasks for him to do at the school. So Thibaut is a son of a former manager of a rock band. He was almost born on stage, so he knows his way around on stages. He loves to be a roadie, and as we have lots of events at Antwerp Management School, he could help the people building stages, getting the microphones set, etc., etc. He also worked at the IT department to delete hard disks and things like that, and he even made it to the reception to welcome people when they literally come into the school. So that's a bit how we did it. Thibaut, wat heb je geleerd van dit project?
Toch wel beter lezen en schrijven. En ja, op een bepaald moment was er eigenlijk geen werk voor mij voor het project. En dan ben ik naar een andere afdeling van de universiteit gaan. En dan was dat bij IT. En daar heb ik ook veel bij geleerd. En ook van mijn buddies voor het XL-systeem onder de knie te hebben.
So learned a lot in different domains. So as I told you, he has difficulties reading and writing. It was not really encouraged at school either, unfortunately. But by doing it, he got better in autonomously reading and writing. So he's now motivated to go even deeper into that and try to improve his skills on that part. The fact that he could work for the IT department, for instance, was quite interesting for him as well. He learned other things into the IT domain, and then he's also really recognizable towards his buddies because they learned him Excel, to work in Excel, to fill out his timesheets, etc., etc. So it was really a very interesting period for him and for us as well, because I think, and Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we learned a lot from him as well. And I think I can speak for the whole of the university. We all miss him right now. So I think that's it. I think we can have questions later on. Sarah, if you have something to add, please be my guest.
It's perfectly said, Anouk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very well. That was for our part.
Thank you very much, Anouk, Sarah, and Thibaut. It was very nice to see an experience that worked on so well. We hope that by sharing such experiences, it will lead to more situations like those. Nice to see that the experience both learned you so much. So I guess we'll have questions after as well. And since we're a bit after the time, I will give the floor now to Klaus and Melanie, coming from and they will talk to us about employment and employees and employers' perspective when employing people with intellectual disabilities. Klaus and Melanie, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon. I'll try to share our desk with you and give you my presentation. So, but I have to skip away. So, yeah, now it works. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak about creating jobs for people with learning difficulties. I like this invitation because creating jobs is completely in the core of our work towards inclusion. And the reason why we focus on that is not only because jobs normally gives us the opportunity to earn money, but besides that, we deduct very much of our social status out of our working position. Let me first say a few words about Atempo and where we come from. Okay, to tell you where we come from, this picture might be a bit misleading, saying that we come straight out of the woods like yesterday's hillbillies. But yes, we are happy to have a wonderful park at our venue in the middle of Graz, which is a town in the southeast of Austria. And here we started our work 20 years ago. But even this is not fully true. My partner Walburga, she's the lady in the red jacket, and I have worked in the disability field for a long time before for other organizations. When in a European project, we got to know Andrew Lee. Andrew was chairman of People First London, a self-advocate, and we never before had seen a person like him. Although having severe learning difficulties on the one hand, he acted as a chairman in a totally professional manner on the other hand. He was a highly gifted speaker, and to make a long story short, his impressive example convinced us to quit our well-designed jobs and to found a new association with the aim to bring people with learning difficulties in totally new social roles, like Andrew. The Atempo mission is that people with disabilities should live in an inclusive society in a self-determined way and to assist them on their way to step into unexpected social roles. But more, not only to step into these roles, but to convince on the long run through the excellent expertise. We aim to assist them on their way from needed fosterlings in services to valued neighbors, from everlasting children to respected citizens, from service users to powerful consumers, from club members to board members, or from fans to admired idols, like Andrew was one. Our work hereby is based on the concept of Wolf Wolfensberger, and he is one of the inventors of the principle of normalization. The process he proposes sounds simple. Create access to a new social role, organize the needed and proper support, and the success achieved that way will open access to another new role. And with support again, will lead to another success, and so on and so forth. And this will not only change the life of disabled people, but most important, their perception in society. And that's the real change. At Atempo, our organization, we follow this path on different ways. In our educational department, we train people and support them to achieve jobs on the first labor market. Approximately 150 of our former trainees now are working in a broad variety of professions. As a billeteur in a cinema, a library assistant, an organizer of a food delivery service, very important in times of COVID, a library assistant, I already mentioned, an office typist, or assistants in the kindergarten, just to give a few examples. That's one solution. The other way we try to bring people in regular jobs is to create such jobs in the Adempo social business branches. I'll tell you about that later, but to make it concrete and lively, I want to introduce Melanie to you now. She came to us as a trainee 10 years ago, but let's tell herself about her story. Melanie, would you step in, please?
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Melanie Wiemer. I am 26 years old and I live in Austria, in Graz. I have learning disability. During my school time, everybody told me I would never get a job. I think this is not right. I really wanted to get a job. So after my graduation 2010, I came as a trainee to Adempo. What happened next? After 2 years as a trainee, I got my job at Capito as an accessibility expert. Capito is a part of Adempo. It stands for easy to read and physical accessibility. I also work as an influencer, or as we say, influencer, for our other project. Influencer is an influencer on social media for inclusion. It's a website that connects people who need assistance to people who give it. My job is to make publicity work for Adempo. I help with bureaucratical tasks. I make a lot of videos and share posts on social media. I have public Instagram and Facebook channels where I post my stories. How this work at Adempo changed my life. I work 20 hours a week and earn a real salary, so I can live a very independent life. For example, I have my own car since 7 years. I drive to work every day. Since January of this year, I also live alone in my own apartment. By the way, you can see me now in my apartment, in the home office. I'm very happy that my school teachers were wrong. I have my own job now, and I like it a lot. If you want to know more about me, you can follow me on Instagram. My channel is called Just a Girl on Wheels.
Thank you, Melanie. Good advertising for your Instagram role. I give you some numbers about Adempo. The total staff of this organization is actually about 90, but something around 20% of our employees all time are people with learning difficulties and disabilities. They are working in our restaurant, in our business administration, or they work in jobs we created in our other social businesses. For instance, in the Capito department, which Melanie already mentioned, Capito deals with the accessibility of buildings as well as with comprehensible information. The job positions here are, for instance, tester for hotels or touristic venues against accessibility, or proofreader of easy-to-read information. In our Nueva department, we developed a quality evaluation method for social services. And the speciality of Nueva is that it focuses on quality out of the perspective of the service users. So we invented the job of a quality evaluator, doing the interviews with the service users on a peer-to-peer level, which really works fantastic, and no one could do this job as good as the peers, as people with learning difficulties and disabilities. Adempo is not a big enterprise. This never was our intention. What we really wanted to grow is our idea, the idea of an inclusive society. Our model for this scaling process is always working in partnerships. We developed Capito and Nueva as social franchise partner network. And this is where the real number of job creation happens. More than 100 persons with learning difficulties and disabilities actually are employed by our in qualified jobs as experts in their profession.
Klaus, I'm sorry to interrupt, but your slide stopped, so I don't know if it's on purpose, so sorry for that.
The slide stopped?
Yeah.
Because I can see it.
Well, but anyway, please continue.
You don't see it at the moment?
No, we can't see it anymore.
Okay, I'll stop it and try to open it again. So try to share my desk again with you. But
yes.
I have to find the right slide. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and sorry for that. Just seem to miss you.
Yeah, that's a technique. Besides these regular jobs, Capito provides contract work, that's non-permanent jobs, for another 600 people with learning difficulties a year. These are numbers, but behind each number there are people, so finally let's have a look at them. Of course, not everybody can be as experienced as Melanie, but this does not mean that he or she cannot work in a regular job. So the man on the right upward corner obtains his job position at Atempo since 18 years now in our cleaning staff. Another example, one of our Nueva evaluators. Attending Atempo as a trainee, she went through a 2-year special job training. And as a child of deaf parents, one of her specialities is to make interviews in sign language. Her talent to teach others made her our preferred trainer for our German Nueva partners. And this meant for her every Monday morning entering the business plane and work in Berlin. What a kind of a role change. Often it's not only the core qualification which counts. So the guy on the left is not only working as an evaluator for 15 years, actually employed in the Styrian regional government. He was our most accurate fire safety officer, and we really were sad when he left us for his new job. I have 2 more than we are finished, but I want to introduce to you the story of Markus. What a shy boy he was 12 years ago when he came to our computer workshop. As a trainer, now he works in Graz or Helsinki, Dublin or Cyprus, wherever our digital trainings are happening. In a side job, he acts as a model, and like it or not, he had the courage to enter the competition for the Mr. Styria and finished on the 2nd place. He is the ruling Austrian champion in wheelchair bodybuilding with 5,000 people following him on Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Wolfensberger's concept in real life. Last but not least, get to know Johann. In the early stages, he made a traineeship at Inclusion Europe in Brussels. He works as a trainer for self-advocates and a speaker, and believe me, he is a real stage hog. Some weeks ago, Atempo made a new investment round. Former investors made their profitable exit, new ones coming on board. And one of them is Johann, proud shareholder of his employer company, Atempo. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my message. If you ask, where is the limit in respect to jobs and roles for people with learning difficulties and disabilities, I tell you, there is none. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Klaus and Melanie. It was very nice to hear your experiences as well. It's many very positive experience today. And thank you for sharing your Instagram account, Melanie. At Inclusion Europe, we just created an account a few weeks ago, so I'm sure our communication officer has already looked at your page, and we will follow you. Because the word influencer really was a success, as I see in the chat. And now we will welcome Roman Boschko. He is Equality, Diversity and Inclusion leader in the Ikea group of Czechia, Hungary and Slovakia. He will talk about Ikea's strategy to identify employment opportunities for people with disabilities. So, Roman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry. Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you fine, and we can see your PowerPoint.
Yeah,
it's
perfect.
Not a screen
So I'm using Teams now 8 hours a day. I still have still could be an issue to switch on the microphone. But thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm very happy to be here with you. I'm as it was nicely introduced. I'm Roman. I'm coming from the region of Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia, and representing what you know as a retail part of IKEA. So the basically the blue boxes that you find usually on the skirt of the cities, but also those. But also we have already few also in the city centers. So what I would like to talk today is about our regional experience regarding the inclusion, but also the employment of people with disabilities. And I think what I should start with is to introducing or mentioning the vision that says that we want to create a better everyday life for the many people. And I mean, a better everyday life for the many people will not happen only because of having a nice design households with functional chairs or sustainable materials, but it's also about the society that we live in and the personal feelings and the personal experience you have in your life, and that also creates the good everyday life. So so we take serious also the topics of diversity and inclusion and equality, and we have a vision to be the world leader in equality. But I would say what we always start with is with the understanding or with the reminding ourselves that that our society is diverse. So first of all, trying to be a diverse company means only trying to be as we are in the society. We are diverse. We have many different groups among us, and by making sure that we represent it also internally in a company, we make sure that we better understand the needs of the customers, and then we better reflect the society as such. So it's both, I would say, the business driver, but it's also the corporate social responsibility driver. But both of them are very important in that. So speaking about the region that I'm coming from, so we are quite diverse also regarding people with disabilities. There are 10% in total, but 5% in the age group below 45. And as many other countries, they miss job opportunities, and they often face a lot of biases and barriers when entering the job market. So so we have been also originally active regarding working with people with disabilities on different levels. And I would like what previously was introduced regarding the Tempo example, because I think it's a great example how when you connect through the social impact and the business as engine, how much sustainable impact you can have through combining the both. So we also love to cooperate with social businesses and NGOs, but are trying to also create the job opportunities for their target group. So this is the examples from the region. If you have, I mean, there's pretty known the concept of a cafe in dark. So we also have such a concept in Prague when people are served by the employees who are blind in total darkness. So we have helped to equip the cafe as such with our furniture, and though help the organization to generate the sales. We also work with the suppliers locally that are employing people with disabilities, and especially in food, but also in our ranch in Slovakia we have introduced a textile collection which is produced by people with a mental disability working in one of the NGO close to the store in Bratislava. So we have created a design that they have produced and we have sold in the store, including the sharing of the story of that social business, which I think it's a very powerful way also how to communicate that message to our customers. But big part of that puzzle is our ambition to employ as much as we shall, as much as to reflect the diversity of the society. So we and this is also the commitment that we have on a global level. We have decided to put ambition in front of us until the end of August 2022. We would like to fulfill the national requirements for including people with disabilities. In each country, it's a little bit different. Czech Republic is around 4.2%. Hungary is 5%. Slovakia 3.6%. So it's a target that we put in front of us, and I have to say, in different country we are on different level, in different stores we are on different levels. So it's important. I would say the quantity, but also the quality of the experience, and in that case, I just picked two of our colleagues, Miloš and Ondra. So Miloš is working in store in Prague, and he started during his high school studies, and when he was studying in a special school, and he had only 2 shifts per week at the beginning, and was always accompanied by his assistant later on. And he started with very simple tasks. So like we had he was supporting the discounted goods department when he was sorting the screws, assembling paper boxes for the customers. But he has this vision, ambition to be the one responsible for the paper press, and I mean later on, when because of his like really determination and his focus and on learning, he really made it happen in several months. And I think what is even more empowering is that he often joins also the social activities. And I remember in the last party we had in the store, which was a long time ago, unfortunately. I mean, but it was the last Christmas party when he was playing in a band, and which was really making like a big it had a big impact on many coworkers, seeing that happening on the as one of the like main point of the party. So that was very nice. And then and this on the right side, that's Ondra from Brno. And because we have been now going through some process that I would like to shortly describe to you, I also talked with few of the colleagues and was asking more about how do they evaluate the experience at Ikea. And I think what we also have seen, what they have realized, what we have realized, I mean, and this is true for many topics, is that as long as we keep ourselves flexible, so we keep ourselves open to working with the time schedules, with the days, to be able to react to changing of the situation, not to be too tightened by the rules and the systems, as I mean, then we can really be enough supportive. And secondly, it's about the the constant like checking if or not constant, but building of the corporate culture. So it's once the people need to feel that they because of the changing needs, we also can change the assignments, either as a like the job that you have, or the time when you start, time you finish, or the weeks you need to take off, but also how you are treated in the team. And I think one of the things that we have also what we have been trying to also share with others is this openness, and make sure that also from the side of coworker, we need to hear what the coworker needs. I mean, if we ask, or if there is a need, there is important to get the to get a feedback and get a reply. And that's, I think, then it helps, because then the communication goes both ways. And I would say from the countries that I'm representing, Slovakia is one of the most progressive regarding the employment, but in Czech Republic we have seen in some stores, especially Prague, we can do much better. And basically what we have done in this year, this calendar year, we have looked on the potential to create a certain, like, create openings, like job positions for new colleagues. That would be the people with disabilities, with the different with the different job profiles. At the end, we have succeeded with placing 4 in Černý Most and 1 in Zličín. So these are the suburbs in Prague on the other ends of the Prague. But I think most of that, what we have learned, is about us as an employer, but also about how to how to be even better employer. Yeah, and I just wanted to share that process with you, because it was also my my path that I was following for in this year. So at the beginning, we have sit down with one of the regional NGO, and we are working with Rytmus as NGO, but we also be working with Jedličkov Ústav, Borůvka, which has been the NGO, has been the expert in this process. And we have kind of we have created a process when we started with aligning. So this is like 4 steps, and the end goal was to employ at least 5 new co-workers. And where we started is with these meetings with the leaders in the stores. So we really didn't want to make it as a told from somebody that this is the goal and this is what you should do, but we met what you can see here, and this first picture, that was the 4 leaders they represent different departments, as a food, customer experience, or logistics, or sales. And we have basically selected them, or not selected, but we have approached them because we knew that would be interested in welcoming a new colleague in their team. And what we have done in the first workshop, it was a very nice experience of basically playing the improvisation theater, including people with disabilities, to make sure that at the first point, that we understand that there is not so many between us, and that we have very powerful stories that we can share, and then kind of bringing these two words together, that we often think they are 2 words, but at the end it's one word. And we have also placed, and this is what we did in the second picture, we placed and put out the fears that we have. So we talk about the barriers, the fears that we have regarding the employment. So of course there was discussions like, could they make it? Is not the store is not too fast, it's not too heavy work. So we have put all together like the spheres, and then also discuss how we can solve that. The second part was the mapping. So basically with this NGO, we have walked through the stores, we have identified certain positions, and then we invited the NGO and have discussed each of the position, the competence profiles, we explained them what kind of job the person would be doing. So they gave us a feedback how to simplify that, what to change, what is maybe too much, what is not the right option, what is at the same time. So that was the second part. The third part was the recruitment. So we have adjusted a little bit the recruitment process, that we use most of the tools, but we have adjusted even the way how we described the position. We simplified the sentences. We simplified the competencies. We made it really straight, like how many hours per day you should be standing, what kind of job you will be doing, what is it expecting from you. So make it really clear for everybody. And we also a little bit adjust the interviews and the assessment centers to make it to make it more to fit it better to the target group. And we afterwards we selected these 5 new coworkers, and we also had we also now have regular feedback on how is it going and if the leaders need any support or not. So I mean, this was our kind of process of how to break the ice a little bit, how to do the breakthrough in the stores, because we have seen that we were struggling with a lot of mindset issues, a lot of I mean, a lot of kind of fears that people just kind of kept on living in, and because of not because of not looking and discussing it, we missed the opportunity to welcome more people with disabilities in our teams. So that's it. Tack, that means in Swedish thank you. So thank you, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Roman. Tack, as I just learned. I also wanted to mention, well, that first your presentation was very interesting, and that we had your contact through Reachmoose, which we also had a meeting with a few weeks ago, and you can find registered on the website, and that you were awarded an award as one of the Employer of the Year in the Equal Chance competition this year. So congratulations.
Thank you.
This award is promoted by Reachmoose, so we were very happy to have you here today. And our last speaker, who will speak about COVID-19 pandemic and how it affected the employment of people with intellectual disabilities in Europe, is Jan. He's the development manager at Bits. Just before I give you the floor, Jan, I wanted to let you know that we're running a bit out of time, and that there's a Q&A chat box to answer to ask you questions if you have any. So the floor is yours.
Yes, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, fine.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have a little presentation. I believe lots of you have already experiences with COVID and how it has been happening for last half the year. And also Barbara, thank you Barbara and Sylvia, who helped with a little data research. And Barbara is also helping me with the slides. I'm not sure if it's a point to just read them. We can all send them out to you all. But Barbara, can we?
Yes, I think it should be showing now, maybe, hopefully.
Yes, it's starting.
Yep, okay. Yes, well, I wanted to start by Sofiane's words. Having a job is about being independent and having salary and managing your life well. But many people still don't have this chance. And now with the COVID situation, there are mainly 2 problems. We didn't have any kind of good data about intellectual disabilities employment and how many people lost work actually. And if we have any kind of data, it's not comparable between different countries. So there are some facts and some information, but we don't have an overview actually. And also as before COVID, people with intellectual disabilities, they are greater risk of social exclusion and also on weaker position on labor market. And as we can see around us, lockdown measures, all kind of restrictions have kind of had worse impact or for people with intellectual disabilities. We can see it every day in Estonia. Some people can't come to work. Some workshops are closed. And I'm gonna just go through it real fast as we don't have so much time, and you can read the facts later. So here are just some bits and pieces from Czechia, Germany, United Kingdom, where research says that around 57% of people interviewed say that this crisis impacted their ability to work. And this is over half the people, and 54% believe that their future earnings will be lesser. So it's really big numbers if we take into account all the thousands and thousands people working or who were working. So this is very big numbers actually. And one of the biggest research or information sources is by Plena Inclusion from Spain. It's not published yet, but we have some data thanks to Sylvia. And it says that 2/3 of people, 68% of people working with intellectual disabilities stopped working during the crisis. And this is already kind of the big image, what is going on in last 6, 7, 8 months. And here are also some things we here in Estonia, Plena in Spain, and Inclusion Europe try to do or try to bring the topic in attention of politicians and target groups. As we all know, Inclusion Europe has had many webinars and many discussions about the situation. Plena Inclusion has had several press releases and public discussions also about of the situation, and so have we here in Estonia. But all in all, hopefully someday this pandemic gonna be over, and we still need to come through this situation and continue with the same work with sharing information, sharing good examples and good practices, and kind of being supportive for people with intellectual disabilities, for finding work, finding better workplaces, and better means to express themselves and earn salaries. So this would be very shortly all from me. You're also welcome to write me. If you want to ask about the situation in Estonia or discuss the topic a bit further, but it is pretty obvious to everyone, but we kind of brought it together on one slideshow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan, for your presentation and for making it quicker to respect the timing. I see that there are a few questions, but first I wanted just to thank all our speakers, and I've seen very many positive reactions in the chat, so I just wanted to make sure that our speakers are aware of those positive reactions, and so they're in the chat. Especially Sarah Picard, who said that Thibaut's participation was really inspiring, and she was about to start a new job in the UK as one of 3 people with disability to be a disabled people's employment champion in the Welsh government. So this is great to hear. and we really hope that those conferences and will enable further situations like those. I see, Anouk, you have your hand raised, so perhaps you wanted to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to quickly translate for Thibaut, because
Yeah.
I couldn't read. Thibaut, er is iemand die jouw verhaal heel inspirerend vond. Ook iemand met een verstandelijke beperking.
Ja?
En die ongelooflijk gemotiveerd is door wat je verteld hebt. En nu ook een job aan het zoeken is in Engeland. Dus voilà, ze bedankte jou voor het mooie verhaal.
Oké.
Well, so if Thibaut wants to answer or anything, we'd be happy to share experience and so on. So, but feel free to intervene if you wish.
Thibaut, wil je daar wat op zeggen?
Niet echt. Ik vond het zelf super.
Okay, he just wanted to tell you that he thought it was very inspiring for him too. For all he could understand was really nice. So thank you from him.
Well, I hope that the language wasn't too much of a barrier, but I'm sure you did great for the translation. So, after this, we also have other synergies created between Jan, Roman. I see you gave your email address, so perhaps you can deal with this together on employment opportunities in Estonia and Ikea. And then I also see Rita, who asked for speakers if COVID had impacted their own organizations. So I see Roman answered in the chat saying that some newcomers' start had to be postponed and that the needs of the store had changed. So assignment had to be changed. Perhaps some of you want to answer. I see, Anouk, you still have your hands raised, so I don't know if it's...
Again, just to say to Rita that we had to adjust with Thibaut because we had to work from a distance. So, well, he actually learned to do video calls and stuff like that. But it actually went very well. It wasn't, of course, we all had to adjust, and he adjusted with us. But it was no problem for Thibaut to learn how to do this and call me through WhatsApp, through Messenger, through Zoom, Skype, whatever. And since then, we've been communicating ever since the first wave like that. So no, it was actually very good.
Okay. Well, thank you for your answer. I forgot to mention earlier on, but in the framework of the project, we are also doing a report on the impact of COVID. So this is something that will be available soon, I hope. And perhaps some of our other speakers also want to answer on this question. I don't know if Klaus, you have anything to say or not. You don't have to say anything.
I haven't seen some questions in the chat, so I'm fine.
Okay, no, it was to know perhaps if in your organization COVID had an impact, but
okay, no, especially not at our organization, but of course we see that the awareness for the placement of people with disabilities now is reduced, and our job coach has hard work to find openness in the enterprises at the moment. But we have no concrete figures about the work situation in Austria. The tendency before COVID was dramatic because the number of unemployed people with disabilities grew stronger than the average. So the situation overall in Austria is not very promising.
Well, That's not the best thing to hear today, but I hope it will improve. And I know, Laszlo, you already spoke about the situation and how it impacted you and self-advocates and people with intellectual disability. But if there's anything you would wish to add, feel free. I leave you a bit of time to translate.
Hát igen, Magyarországon megtette a koronavírus járvány a hatását. Ausztriához hasonlóan minket is megviselt a járvány értelmi fogyatékos embereket. Ugyanaz a szituáció nálunk is, mert nagyon sokan elvesztették a munkalehetőségüket, és ki tudja, hogy hol van ennek a vége, hogy hol lesz a járványnak a vége.
Just as in Austria, in Hungary also the COVID-19 affected people with intellectual disabilities very hardly. So many people lost their jobs, and we do not see the end of the pandemic yet. So it is a difficult situation for us as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for your answer. Again, when we ask questions about the COVID, it's never the best answers that come up. So I hope that this will not be the only lessons we have from this meeting, as we learned very positive things as well. So let's hope that the situation will improve soon. And oh, I'm sorry, Melanie, I know you spoke about COVID as well, but perhaps you also would like to add something. I forgot to ask. But of course, you don't have to.
For me, it changed to go in the home office. Before COVID, I was every day in the normal office, and now I am really often in home office, but that's not a real problem for me.
Okay, well, it's at least nice to hear that it's not too much of a problem for you. So that's, when it's not worse, at least it's 0. And we have another question from Sufyan. Sufyan, for the context, is one of our colleagues. He's the easy-to-read editor and self-advocacy expert at Inclusion Europe. He has a question for Thibaut, asking whether Thibaut uses easy-to-read documents in his job.
I'll quickly translate. Thibaut, Soufiane van het project heeft een vraagje voor jou. Hij wil weten of jij te lezen documenten gebruikt bij je job. Of in een van je jobs, want je doet er meerdere natuurlijk.
Niet echt. Ik gebruik de gewone documenten die dat iedereen gebruikt. Ik probeer dan alles wel goed te vertalen, dat ik mee ben. Dus...
Yeah, so Soufiane and all the other participants, Thibaut is saying that he doesn't really uses easy-to-read documents. In our part of the job, he uses the documents we all use. Sarah, in the beginning, said that she would be translating contracts and other agreements into easy-to-read for the future. Thibaut says he doesn't really need them. Maybe also because we all always discuss documents and we try to explain them. And when he gets documents in another language, Thibaut always goes and translates them through Google Translate or through DeepL, and he manages like that.
Okay, well,
maybe I can step in, because yes, we have a lot of experience to this topic because of Capito. So I think if you take it serious to employ people with learning difficulties, you have to provide the proper information. It's begins at the contracts. It goes further with the advices for work, the regulation in your organization, and of course the safety informations. But as well, it's very important we learned to make all our staff meetings accessible, and that's not very easy because all employees have to reduce their pace and learn to try to communicate in an accessible way for their colleagues. So I think it's a really big issue if you want to be successful in this kind of employment.
Okay. Well, thank you for your addition. I don't know. I don't see so many other questions. Well, Sufyan, he's the Easy to Read editor. So if you want to discuss this subject, he's here, and you can always contact us. Also, I don't see any further questions, so I don't know if any of you have any other questions. I just noticed that someone, Andrea Meek, said that she was also in Wales and asked for Sarah Picard to write to her. So I don't know if you have seen Sarah, but there's a message for you in the chat. And otherwise...
Helen?
Yes?
Sorry to jump in, Sarah again. I've also seen in the chat box the message from Andrea. So yeah, I'll make contact with her.
Okay, great.
That's really, really good.
Well, great. We're very happy that you are able to get into contact through this webinar. So great news. And I also wanted to share with you that if you keep looking at our social media, we'll be sharing information soon about our next online meeting. And well, I suggest that if you don't have any other questions, we could wrap it up because we're coming to an end. I would like to thank our speakers very much and to everyone who listened to the conversation. You have our contact at Inclusion Europe, so don't hesitate to contact us if you wish. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in, so I would say bye to everyone and have a nice evening or end of the afternoon.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.